Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Good morning, dear participants. For today's session, we have Dr. Pallav Gupta, Assistant Professor Grade 2 from Amity University, Department of Mechanical Engineering. He has around a decade experience in research and academic areas. His areas of interest is material processing, metal matrix composites, nano composites, and coating techniques, and sustainable manufacturing apart from 3D printing. He guided 2 PhD scholars and guiding 4 PhD scholars. And he also completed several sponsored research projects to government and private sectors. He is received many fellowships and awards from government organizations and other private organizations like UGC, GATE Fellowship, Research Fellowships, Junior Research Fellowship, and other things. He got 40 plus journal publication to his credit, and 40 plus papers presented in the national and the international level conferences. He also published 2 books, among one from Springer Publishers, and he also published 7 chapters in books. And he also delivered more than 25 talks in various national and international level events. And he also chaired various national and international level conferences. And he is also acting as reviewer for around 20 journals of repute of international and national level journals. Such a great personality we have today as resource person for today's session. On behalf of Murugappa Polytechnic and Department of Mechanical Engineering, I am having great pleasure in welcoming Dr. Pallav Gupta for today's session. I request all the participants to make utilize his expertise in this session. Thank you, sir. Welcome, sir. You can start the session, sir.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Shekhar. I hope that I'm
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Audible, sir.
Okay, so on the outset, a very good morning to all the participants present over here. I am very much happy that Murugappa Polytechnic College is organizing a 1-week AICTE sponsored faculty development program on 3D printing and design. It is a great initiative, and it is only possible by the tremendous effort and the motivation of the principal of the college, that is Dr. K. Sudhagar, as well as the FDP coordinator, Dr. K.S. Sekhar. Dr. Sekhar has been putting a lot of effort in organizing this, you can say, FDP. And this is indeed a, you can say, great platform for sharing of the ideas. So this is not only an FDP where I will be speaking over here or I will be putting my ideas forward. This is a, you can say, FDP where you will be discussing, you will be deliberating, and you can ask a lot many questions during the session and after the session when the session is over. Apart from that, I can also see that this is indeed a great effort by the college, because some of the very renowned colleagues of mine, Dr. Y. Ravi Kumar, and I can also see Dr. M.R. Ravi Sankar. They are, you can say, close colleague of mine who are working with NIT Warangal, and presently Dr. Ravi Sankar has joined IIT Tirupati. Previously, he was there with IIT Guwahati. So good speakers have been, you can say, called upon in this particular activity. Now, without wasting further time, I just move on further direction to discuss of my, you can say, today's lecture, which is basically on the advanced materials. Okay, so the today's lecture which I have scheduled is for the advanced materials. I am sharing the PPT. Just can anybody confirm from the organizing committee that whether my PPT is visible or not? I just going to share it. Is it visible?
No, sir. No, sir.
Is it visible? Can anybody confirm?
Yes, sir.
It is visible. So, and now I'm in the full screen mode. Now is it visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It is in the full screen mode?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so so the today's lecture, which I am going to discuss, the topic of the lecture is the advanced materials for 3D printing. Advanced materials for 3D printing, and the second outline for this lecture is the need of the hour. Okay, so this is quite important. See, what happened that 3D printing is you can say one technique for the successful you can say completion of any of the manufacturing technique. This you can say the material which we are choosing for performing any sort of the manufacturing is quite important. And at the outset, when we are talking about the materials, now the conventional materials which were being used in our society, in our industry, in our research, they are getting exhausted upon. They are not being able to serve our present requirement, and therefore we have to move towards a new class of materials which is called as the advanced materials. So I think about myself, Dr. Shekhar has already given a lot many things. He has spoken a lot many things about myself. So myself, Dr. Pallav Gupta, and I am presently working as an assistant professor at position of grade 2 in the Department of Mechanical Engineering at Amity School of Engineering Technology, Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, Noida. So I think because I think most of you have visited in NCR region, Delhi region. So this Noida is just adjacent to Delhi, around at a distance of 25 kilometers from the Delhi airport. Okay. So once again, the you can say title of the today's FDP is 3D printing and design, which is very important topic. And once again, thank you to All India Council for Technical Education for such type of you can say program which they have initiated from few years back. So the plan of lecture will be, I always believe that whenever we deliver any lecture, whenever we talk about any of the concept, we should always start with, you can say, just broad, you can say base level. I do not start with the higher end. I just start from the base level. Although I know that this is a faculty development program for the faculty members, they all are very much well acquainted. But once I start from the base level, when I move from the base level, it becomes a quite easy to the audience or the attendees to understand the concept which has been being used in today's world. So first of all, for today's lecture, I will be starting from this particular topic, that is what is basically the difference between materials science and materials engineering. Because what happened that whenever we talk about the advanced materials, until unless we are not at all acquainted about what is basically materials, what are basically material science, what is basically materials engineering, we will not be able to go through the current scenario of the recent advancement. Okay, so next in line, we will be talking about what is the concept of materials technology, which is an outcome of all the three parameters which have been highlighted me, or which would have been discussed by me over here in the you can say previous section, that is materials science and materials engineering. Okay, so materials science and materials engineering, which is a three term over here. These three terms which have been discussed over here collectively, as an outcome of these three terms, we will be talking over here about the materials technology. Now, why technology? Because technology can only provide a backbone to the any of the innovation technique or any of the manufacturing technique. Then what is the classification of materials? From this particular platform, I will be moving towards the mainstream, that when we talk about the classification of the materials, what are the different variety of materials which are present? What are the potential properties? What are the potential, you can say, parameter which is being used for serving as an advanced material in the 3D printing technology? Okay. And now, what is basically the 3D printing? Why we are adopting the 3D printing? This will be a next topic of challenge in which I will be discussing that what is basically a topic of, or what is basically a 3D printing. With 3D printing nowadays is also called as addition manufacturing or additive manufacturing as well. Okay, why it is called additive manufacturing? What was the requirement for adopting this technology? What are the various challenges which are being faced in this technology? Why it is not being used at a large scale nowadays? What are the probabilities of using it in next 20 years? All these type of the things will be discussed in this particular topic over here. And then what is the recent research work? What are the different type of the advanced materials which has been developed by my research group in the last period of 10 years? So because as already Dr. Shekhar has added that I have been working over here in this particular area for a period of around 10 years. So in the last 10 years, what have been the recent development which has been done? What are the recent development which has been carried out in this particular area of advanced material, different materials which has been developed by my research group for the society, because I basically work for the society where all the challenges which are being faced by the society is at least being answered by my research group. Okay, and the first problem which we started discussing of the first problem which we have, you can say, taken up is the development of the coating material for the additively manufactured products. Okay, so the development of the coating material, and more focus we were towards the development of rare earth added or doped type of coating material for the additively manufactured products such as the agricultural implements. Okay, so because what happened that agriculture because our country, if I start from Jammu and Kashmir in the top, and if I go to Kerala in the bottom, everywhere we so all the, you can say, farmers, they are doing the, you can say, farming. We are basically a agricultural driven country, and farming is basically the, you can say, an essential occupation of our country, as I think you all might be aware also, and you may also agree with this concept. So because in agriculture, we are not only sowing the seed, we are not only growing the plants, crops, or so on and so forth. There are certain challenges which are associated with the tooling of the, you can say, the agricultural, you can say, impartments or implements. So different type of the tools or different type of the tooling which are being, you can say, used upon, or the different type of the tools which are being used, they are called as agricultural implements. And our thought process is that how we can increase the life of those agricultural implements by adding a coating material to it. So I think my ideology over here with which we are working on the first area of discussion is that to develop the different type of the agricultural implements, by virtue of which we can develop a new class of coated materials for the different type of the wear-prone industrial applications. Now, first area which we have discussed is for the farmers. Second is for the aerospace industries, or the it is basically for the DRDO. Second topic, or second, you can say, area in which we have discussed upon, or we are working upon, is the development of aluminum and aluminum alloy based hybrid composites for the applications in the aeroframes. So because what happens that nowadays, as you might be aware, that aircraft is a very easy means of transport from one end to another, and without wasting a lot of time. So there has been always a challenge in improving the life of an aircraft or aerospace or aeroplane by virtue of implementing a class of material which can enhance the various type of the properties. Okay. Now, what is basically property? Why we are using property term? What are the different parameters in which we have to study about the property? This will be discussed, and how we are developing a, you can say, aluminum and aluminum alloy based hybrid composites. How we are developing the hybrid composite at large scale, recommending it for a large scale application by virtue of using it, fabricating it by a very economical method, and then we are putting forward that particular material for the additive manufacturing. So our role is basically primary one. Our role over here is primary one, because until and unless you are not manufacturing a proper high quality or high standard material, you cannot refer it to the additive manufacturing. Additive manufacturing or additive manufacturing can be done with a particular class of material when it is being, you can say, fabricated in a well-defined manner and it is showing good property. Now, the third topic which we are going to discuss over here is the development of hybrid composites, and those composites are of copper. See, what happened that another important metallic class of material is the copper. So because copper, as you are very much aware, that it has got a very high electrical conductivity, and that is why it is being used in different type of the applications. One prominent application of using this particular copper is in heat exchangers. Okay, so what we are doing is that we are enhancing the life capability or life processing of a particular heat exchanger by, you can say, protruding a new class of copper composites, which are basically being added by the, you can say, bulk form of ceramic reinforcements. And apart from that, now what we are doing currently is that we are now using some nano materials, or we are basically using nano reinforcements, which are being used for enhancing the interfacial interaction. and it is giving a synergetic property as well. Okay, so synergetic property along with the interfacial interaction between the various type of the, you can say different type of the nano reinforcement, it will provide an added you can say benefit to this particular copper material, and therefore this conceptualization of hybrid copper composites is being used upon in nowadays. Now, the fourth topic of discussion is the development of iron-based nanocomposites for heavy-duty applications. Now, this term sounds a little bit different. This term which is being there, that is the heavy-duty applications. This particular term is slightly, you can say, a very broad one. What is basically the term? What is basically the heavy-duty application? Heavy-duty application basically means the application in which we are putting forward the material to be served in a you can say area where a high amount of loading and high amount of the wear and friction is being implemented upon. So this particular concept of development of iron-based nanocomposites is towards for the heavy-duty application, or towards the heavy, you can say, industries which are leading or which are fabricating heavy objects which are being used for higher loading and higher wear and friction resistance. So this is the plan of the lecture. This is the lecture on which I will be delivering the today's you can say talk. This plan of lecture, I do not know, but whenever I deliver the lecture, I discuss this plan of lecture in much more detail so that all the audience or the participants, they understand this particular topic in well-defined manner. So I think this is now clear to everybody that what will be the plan of lecture, what will be the outline of this particular lecture. And let us now start with the main stream, wherein we will be discussing what is the basic difference between the materials, material science and materials engineering. So when we talk about the material, material is basically any of the substance which are being you can say implemented or which are being used for the humans, and these particular materials, when they are being used for the humans, they are basically giving the comfort. Okay, so they are basically providing the comfort to the human being. So comfort can be in the form of using that particular material for a product, for any of the appliance, for any of the innovation based invention, for various type of the structural applications, for different type of the construction industry. So a particular material or particular class of material can be used in different type of the applications. And apart from that, they are also being served, or they are also being used in concrete, steel, glass, rubber, aluminum, copper, paper, and plastic. So all these materials which have been listed over here, they are essentially important for making the life of a particular human a comfortable one. So materials which are being used, either we are using it for industrial applications, we are using it for domestic application, we are either using it for the research and development. All these materials basically, they are somewhere or the other providing a you can say a high amount of the comfort to a particular class of the, you can say, human being, or it is serving the mankind. Now, what is the next thing? That is the material science. How material science is important. First of all, let us try to understand what is the science. Science is basically, if I talk about, this is the any sort of the invention or innovation which is coming forward to just give out a new finding towards the society. And when we talk about the term material science over here, this material science basically means that we are basically making use of a basic knowledge, and it is being used for the to establish a relationship between the structure and property. So in normal course, the word structure and property, they are like a very basic term, but these two terms are very large or very gigantic. That is, structure and property, they are very large and gigantic term when they are being used upon by the term processing. Without using the term processing, we cannot talk about the structure and the property. That means talking about the structure and properties is wrong, or it is a futile effort if we do not talk about the processing of material. So processing of material is essentially important when we talk about the structure and property, and structure as well as property, they both combine together to form a material science. Now, the third era, or the third, you can say, nomenclature which is normally being used in today's scenario is the materials engineering. So what is basically engineering? So because over here I am having a large gathering of faculty members from different institutes and universities. So the thing which is being talked about over here is the concept of materials engineering. What is basically engineering? Engineering, when we talk about, it is something a level above from the theoretical aspect. So when we are talking about the design and engineering calculation, when we are discussing about the design and engineering concept concerning to the structure of production process of a particular material, then it basically gives a desired property, and that desired property is essentially in accordance with the engineering design process. So when we talk about the engineering, it is basically talking about the calculations and the design considerations, which will definitely give a structure or a you can say new product, which is having a desired amount of the properties. So this particular material science and materials engineering, this is basically a very important thing, very important topic for understanding the concept of advanced material. So instead of going directly to the field of advanced materials, I just start from this particular, you can say, background. And if we talk about the concept of materials technology, which is a very important topic over here, it is a combination of several things. So the concept of materials technology, it is basically a, you can say, combination of various things in which it is having a basic knowledge of material. It is having the knowledge of structure, property, manufacturing, and efficiency of engineering materials. Then it has got a, you can say, knowledge of various type of a material. And above all, what is there, when these three parameters, that means material science, if you're talking about the materials engineering, if you are talking about, you can say, the concept of materials engineering, materials science, then what happened that there is a coordination or correlation is there, in which we are talking about the, you can say, establishing a relationship between structure, properties, efficiency, and processing over here, which will definitely yield, or which will definitely produce a material that will be providing a strong support to the society. So this establishment, that means the establishment between the structure, properties, efficiency, and processing, this is a four, you can say, pillar. The correlation between these four pillars definitely will lead to the development of a new material, which will be providing a support to our society. Okay. Now, if we give a very recent example, if we talk about the, you can say, challenges which we are facing. So our defense sector, or the defense, you can say, technology is receiving a lot of challenges nowadays. So nowadays, because I was there in a meeting in DRDO a few days back, I was with I was discussing about one of my project with the DRDO. So they are saying that nowadays every day, DRDO people are every day facing a, you can say, a new type of a challenge, and they always want a concrete answer. So like, because they want the concrete answer, and that concrete answer should be supported from these particular four, you can say, parameters, that is structure, properties, efficiency, and processing. So these four parameters needs to be touched upon while we are discussing for any of the particular application. Now, over here, this particular, you can say, coordination, because I have been talking about that correlation, coordination, this is certainly very, very important. Now, what is basically the correlation or coordination, and how this correlation or coordination can be established for a new class of material or for the advanced material? Let us try to understand. So first of all, when we talk about the, you can say, usage of any of the material, we have to always start with the conceptualization of the effectiveness and behavior of each of the material. So the effectiveness and the behavior of each of the material will basically depend on, you can say, three parameters, and that is, first is the structure, second is the property, and the third is the processing. So what is basically the structure? What is basically property? What is basically processing? See, structure means the interatomic bonding, or the interatomic, you can say, variation of different particles which are constituting a particular body, that is essentially defined as the structure. Now, how does this structure plays a very important role? Suppose I am fabricating a nano composite. So when I am fabricating a nano composites, then it is essentially to occur that the matrix as well as the reinforcement, which we are using as a essential part of a nano composite, any one of the two, and most probably the reinforcement, should be there in the nano form. Nano form means less than 100 nanometers. So it should essentially be less than 100 nanometers. If it is essentially less than 100 nanometers, then only we will be coming out, or then only we will be discussing about the, you can say, variable form. Variable form means we will be talking about the variable type of the property. And this property will definitely be dependent upon the size of the nano size or the nano reinforcement. What is the size of the nano reinforcement which has been used to form a nano composite? Now, structure is one parameter. The second parameter is the property. The second parameter which is being used over here is the property. Now, property means to evaluate or to come out with a, you can say, new class of a material, or to you can say evaluate the characteristics of a new class of material. So I always say that to derive a new class of material. Why? Because until and unless new properties will not be revealed, new class of material cannot be, you can say, discovered. So new class of material can be discovered by evaluating it continuously, characterizing it, and then focusing on its principal areas of application. Okay. Now, what is basically the property of a particular brick? If I take a very simple example, because this is a faculty development program, and I can understand that the faculty from mechanical engineering, automobile engineering, civil engineering, somebody from the nanotechnology, physics, chemistry, because this is a faculty development program. So faculty from most of the domain will be over here. So if I talk about the property of brick, brick is a very important thing, which is a, you can say, very much important for the civil engineers, or for the faculty who are there from the civil engineering background. The brick is very important thing. And I think if you are performing the first year lab of engineering mechanics, or in second year, if you are performing some of the experiment related to strength of material or materials engineering, you are always trying to put a, you can say, brick and trying to evaluate its property on a UTM. So this is a very basic experiment which is we carried out for the students of BTech second year or first year. So what are the property of brick? If I ask this thing to anybody, what is the property of brick, you will eventually say that brick is basically a brittle material. So as soon as I ask, brick is basically a type of a brittle material. And what are the characteristics? The physical characteristics it will encounter is the shape, color, density, and size. Mechanical characteristics, if I talk about the evaluation of the property of brick, it will be talking about the compressive strength and the flexural strength. And if we talk about the thermal characteristics, we are talking about the heat insulation, sound insulation, and finally, what is the durability? That means how much water will be absorbed if we put that particular brick inside a, you can say, beaker, or is inside a particular pool which is being filled up of a water. Suppose we are putting it inside that particular pool of water and we are keeping it for a period of around 24 hours. So how much durable it is basically. So this will determine the property of a brick. Now, another important thing is that now there is a small stress strain plot over here. Can you see this plot over here, everybody? So this is stress strain plot. This is also determining the property. How come? Because by the virtue of a stress strain plot, you can ultimately find out what is the strength of a particular material. So what is the strength of a material can be determined by using this particular property evaluation. Now, next is the processing. Now, after property evaluation, next is processing. Now, this property evaluation and processing, they are vice versa. I call it as vice versa. Why I call it as vice versa? Because sometimes after determining the structure, we have to fabricate a new product by the virtue of processing, and then finally we have to evaluate the properties. Or sometimes what happens that we already know the property of a material beforehand, and then we are processing it if we are talking about the pure metal. So one of the very basic process or basic technique by virtue of which we are fabricating, or we are, you can say, developing a particular material is the, you can say, casting. So casting and, you can say, powder metallurgy, these were the two techniques which are very ancient, or which are very traditional techniques for fabrication of any of the product. So these are the two techniques which are very essential, you can say very ancient, which are being used for the fabrication of a new product. And over here, you can see that you have the molten material over here, you cast it and then you form a new product. So this is a, you can say, recent technique for the fabrication of, for the fabrication of process of, for the processing of a new or additionally, you can say, a product. But nowadays, what is there? We are basically talking about some advanced manufacturing, in which the theme of today's lecture is on 3D printing. Okay, 3D printing. So 3D printing is relatively a new class of material in which what is there? We are basically removing all the scrap. Because what is there? Nowadays, we are moving forward for the concept of recyclability and reusability. So government is also promoting this thing, because what happened that government is saying do not waste the material, because what happened that when you waste the material, from where will you bring the new material, because all our natural resources are getting exhausted upon. So this is one topic which I will just take up in the upcoming lectures and in the upcoming slides over here. Now let us try to understand what is basically the structure of a particular material. The structure of a basically material is having, if I talk about a very basic terminology, then if we talk about the atom is basically having the proton, neutrons, and the electron. And from the atomic theory, we start up and we go to the nanocrystalline phase. We are going towards the crystalline phase. We are going towards the bulk phase, and we are now developing a different large scale class of materials. So all this class of material or all these large class of materials, they are essentially important for the, you can say, structure determination of any of the material. And if we talk about a, you can say, basic ideology, the basic ideology for a particular structure is that they are basically of two types. That is, first is the crystalline and the second is the non-crystalline, which is also called as the amorphous. So crystalline is one class of material, another class of material is the non-crystalline, which is also called as the amorphous. Now, over here, we can very easily identify, or over here, we can very easily see that one of the parameter or one of the, you can say, core subject area for determining the structure is to study the microstructure. Okay, so when we study the microstructure, we are at initial level, we are basically looking forward to type of the thing, what is the grain and how is the grain boundary movement. So what is the grain boundary movement? We basically talk about this particular, you can say, structure relationship. And then we have to always look about that what is the percentage porosity which is there. And with the porosity, another important term which is on the upper end is the what is the percentage purity of the different type of the materials. So different percentage purity of different materials, what is the, you can say, structural variation, what is the microstructure evaluation, what is basically the technological innovation which is being used over here. That is basically the talk of the particular, you can say, structure. Now, next important thing is the property. Now, what is basically property? Property means the characteristics. And when we talk about the property, we have got different type of the properties which we need to look upon. That is the chemical property, physical property, mechanical property, thermal property, electrical property, and magnetic property. For determining the properties, we have got the compression, tension, shear, torsion, and bending. These are the different type of the tests which we can perform under the category of mechanical property. So, because over here, if you talk about the mechanical properties, this is very much important, because for understanding the load carrying capacity of any of the material, we have to first and the foremost thing is that to determine the mechanical property of a particular material. So, for evaluating the different properties, we have to perform the different type of the tests, and these different type of the tests which we perform upon, we will get a desired properties, maybe sometimes desired, sometimes undesired. If we are getting undesired property, we have to again start from the lower end, and we have to fabricate the material, and we have to come up with that particular subject area. Now, another thing which is essentially important over here, that is the processing of the material. So processing means previously we are processing the material by a you can say basic process, that is the forging, die filling, or we are using sometimes we are punching, we are using sometime we are using the, you can say, deformation. We are differently using different type of the processing technique. And what will happen that by the virtue of using the different type of the processing technique, we will definitely get different type of the microstructural change. So this particular microstructural change will definitely give us, or will definitely affect the material property. So the material property will essentially be affected by the, you can say, different type of the, you can say, processing route by virtue of which we are fabricating any class of material. So over here, you can see very easily that this is a process in which a lower die is there. There is an upper die in between the, you can say, semi-molten material is being filled upon. When we are on the next step, when we are applying a force F over here, what is happening? The deformation is taking place in this particular material. And when the deformation is taking place, what will happen? The final shape will be obtained as per the size or as per the, you can say, dimension of this particular die. So what happens that this is the, you can say, front view. If we go in the three-dimensional view, you can very easily see that this was a, you can say, rectangular block over here. When we have deformed it, what is happening that this will transform into a new class of material over here. So this will be transformed into a new class of material. So it is basically a step-up process. That means we are moving in step by step. Step 1, step 2, step 3. We are moving towards in different steps, and then we are obtaining the, you can say, processing route by virtue of which we are moving forward. Now, this is something very much important from engineering point of view. That means when I was saying that there should be a coordination or correlation, what I basically meant upon, this has been discussed in this particular slide. In this, we are talking about the, you can say, structure. We are talking about the processing. We are talking about the performance. We are talking about the synthesis and forming. We are talking about the property. Okay, so you can see that this is a type of a pyramid shaped structure in which all the 4 things have been joined upon. Okay, previously I have talked about the structure, I have talked about the processing, I have talked about the properties. So all these three things I have already discussed beforehand. Now, one term which is just now arrived over here, that is the performance. What is this performance? See, performance means the, you can say, level of competence or the degree of competence by virtue of which we can adjudge the suitability of any of the product or component. So, and in normal speaking or in layman language, how we will talk about the performance evaluation? We will talk about the performance evaluation of any of the material when we are saying that, okay, we are talking about a new class of the material, we are talking about a, you can say, new derivative, we are talking about a new structure, but ultimately, how long will it sustain? How long it will be suitable? Then comes the concept of sustainable manufacturing. The sustainable manufacturing in layman language is that whenever you are fabricating a new class of material, how long will it be able to serve in application? Suppose I said I hire a carpenter today. I said that, okay, you manufacture 10 chairs for me. Suppose you can say that you manufacture 10 chairs. First chair he manufactures, a person of weight 60 kg sits on it, and what happened that nothing happens to the chair. I said that, okay, you manufacture all the remaining 9. So when he has done with the 10, you can say, chairs, and suppose I ask a person who is having a weight of around 120 kg to sit on all the 10, and all the 10 chairs, they broke off. So by virtue of this particular thing, what we get an understanding that the first product which we are getting out of any manufacturing product process, we have to test all the parameters on that particular product, and then finally judge that how its performance is being maintained upon. What is the efficiency? What is the, you can say, the degree of competence it will be able to face when it is going into a real life application. So that is basically called as the performance of material. And in all the three, you can say, topics or parameters, that is structure, processing, and you can say property, they all are okay. They are fine, but their feasibility will totally be dependent upon the performance of a particular product which is being delivered in the market. So from the engineering point of view, from the point of an engineer, the required performance capacity a particular technique is supporting, that becomes an essential parameter, and it should always be supported by the property as well as the performance evaluation. So this diagram is although it is a, you can say, very simple diagram, but this diagram is speaking a lot many things which are essentially important for our today's scenario. Now, I'm just moving forward slowly towards the mainstream topic, that is what is the class of the advanced materials. So beforehand, I just have to talk about what are the materials which we all know about. We are talking about the different class of the materials, like we are talking about the metals, we are talking about the polymer, we are talking about the ceramic, and by the virtue of the engineering, you can say, ideology, we are coming up with a 3 new class of the materials which are important from engineering point of view, that is the composite, semiconductor, and biomaterials. So these are 3 class of materials which are essentially important from the, you can say, our future directions. This will be, you can say, talking about our future directions in our present, you can say, R&D field. So what is basically metal, polymer, and ceramic? You all are very much aware that metals, if we talk about, they are of ferrous and non-ferrous. Polymer, they are thermoplastic, thermoset. Then we have talked about the ceramic. They are basically able to withstand high temperature. Then we are talking about the composite, which are basically a combination of matrix and reinforcements. And then finally, we talk about the semiconductors, which is basically the, you can say, resultant of, you can say, doping. So N-type, P-type dopings are there, intrinsic and extrinsic semiconductors are there, holes and electrons are there, which are, you can say, providing the, one is providing the charge carrier, the other one is providing the pathway. And then we are fabricating miniaturized devices, which are basically called as the semiconductor devices. Now, long back, we had very big semiconductor devices, but now, because we are talking daily, we are talking about the concept of miniaturization. So we are basically dealing with the operational amplifier, resistor, capacitor, transistor, diodes, integrated circuits. All these parameters we are talking about, and all these parameters about which we are talking about, they are coming under the category of semiconductor devices. So, last topic, which is very much important over here, is the, you can say, talking about the biomaterials. Biomaterials, bioimplant, they were, you can say, essentially very much important previously, and now they have become essentially more important when we are talking about the 3D printing technology. So in 3D printing technology, because 3D printing technology is a, you can say, cleaner, safest, easiest, scrap-free technology. So nowadays, biomaterials, they are becoming more important for various type of the bone implant, for the teeth, you can say teeth growth, and you can say joining of the bones. All these type of the things have become quite easy while we are talking about the usage of the biomaterials. So this particular concept of biomaterials, or this particular concept of you can say biomaterials being used in additive manufacturing, is becoming an, you can say, very important field nowadays in a biotechnology issue. So this is very important. Now, what is basically composite material? Composite is basically combination of two materials, in which one is a, you can say, matrix phase, and the second is the, you can say, fiber, filament, or reinforcement. And basically it is having good shear properties. Along with that, it has having the, you can say, high strength, high stiffness, and low density properties, which are very much important for all of us to understand. Another important thing is the, you can say, classification of composite material. The classification of composite material is basically on two bases. First is the, you can say, matrix itself, and the second is the reinforcement. So when we talk about the matrix, in matrix, it is of, you can say, metal matrix, ceramic matrix, polymer matrix, and sometimes we are talking about the, you can say, carbon-carbon, and then we are talking about the hybrid. So hybrid materials nowadays are becoming more in fashion, more in, you can say, use upon, and because of their, you can say, unique characteristics which are being used upon. So when we talk about the classification of the composite material, so if we talk about the metal matrix composite, polymer matrix composite, ceramic matrix composites, so in metal matrix composite, we have got the, you can say, matrix is of metal, and second we have got the reinforcement, which is of ceramic material. So nowadays what is there, because metal matrix composite was being developed initially around 30 years back, but nowadays we are moving forward for the hybrid metal matrix composites, in which we are using at least 2 ceramic reinforcements, and each of the used ceramic reinforcement have got their own utility in providing the added benefits to the metal. Now, another important field nowadays which is being used in the, you can say, current scenario of printing and design of 3D printed object or the additive manufacturing is the usage of the alloy matrix. That means previously we were using simple metal, but nowadays we are basically using the matrix, which is basically made up of alloy. And it is having the, you can say, different reinforcements. Like we are sometimes using the graphite, sometimes we are using silicon carbide, we are using boron nitride, so on and so forth. Then comes the name of the second, you can say, important class of material, that is the polymer matrix composite. In polymer matrix composite, it is basically having the matrix is of polymer itself, and then we are using a ceramic reinforcement, which is having basically the glass, fiber, and whiskers, which are being used as a reinforcement in this particular polymeric material. So large class of polymeric materials nowadays are being there, and you can say, basic idea behind using this polymeric material is that it has got, you can say, low melting point and has got enhanced properties. So this is basically the polymer matrix composite is becoming a very important class of material. Now, the third important class of material is the, you can say, ceramic matrix composite, which is also called as the CMC over here, which is having, you can say, both the reinforcement and the, you can say, matrix, which are of, you can say, ceramic material itself. So conventionally, we are using the powder metallurgy technique, which is an old technique in which we are doing the ball milling, pressing, and then compaction, and then the heat treatment. And the final product is there in front of you, which is requiring the least finishing operations. Then we have got the stir casting technique, in which what is there, we are using a stirrer or impeller, in which there is a molten material over here. The stirring takes place over here, and finally we get an output after the solidification in a particular mold or die. So there are, I have speaked over here 2 lines about this process, but this particular process is not on 2 lines. It is having large number of variables which are being used over here, or the large number of variables which are being discussed over here for this particular technology. Now, the application of composite materials, they are, you can say, previously the composite materials were having a limited applications, but nowadays composite material is finding applications in almost all the areas of engineering and design, in which we have got the restoration, rehabilitation, concrete, glass industry, aerospace, automotive, building construction, sensors, road construction, steel industries, all these areas which are the major domain areas of application for these composite material are becoming very much important nowadays. Some other areas like we have talking about the, you can say, bicycle, automobiles, shoes, different cars, ship hulls, you can say marine, then spacecraft, everywhere, windmill, everywhere we are using this particular class of material, that is the composite. And not only metal composites, but polymer composites also are being used at variable scales. Another important class of material which is being used over here is the class of material which is known as smart materials. Now, because we are moving forward for the advanced materials which are being used for additive manufacturing, so what happens that smart materials, they are, you can say, desperately being used, and they change themselves according to the environment. Okay, and what happened that they respond to the different type of the changes which are being formed in a set. Yeah, somebody is speaking. Somebody is asking something. Is there somebody asking something? I am hearing some voice. Okay, so I shall proceed further. In this, what will happen? There is a material which is having the, you can say, changes which are occurring according to the environment wherever they are operating. And what happened that they are basically responding to the changes which are being set beforehand in a particular class of material. So nowadays in smart materials technology, what is there? The green building or the green building technology, or the concept of green building which is being used over here in the, you can say, in the field of additive manufacturing. This is basically an outcome of smart materials also. Okay. Now, apart from smart materials, we have next important class of materials which are called as the shape memory alloys. Like we are talking about the nitinol spring at a temperature below its transition temperature, and what happens when we are heating, when we are stretching that particular nitinol wire, we are applying a, you can say, heat to this particular nitinol wire. The nitinol wire comes back to its original shape. So similar is the concept for the, you can say, shape memory alloy shirt and jacket, which was manufactured in the year 2010. So 2010 is almost a decade back. If I talk about 2010, it is just an, you can say, decade back, when a different type of class of material like shape memory alloy shirt and jackets, they were essentially being manufactured, and then you can say, a new era of smart materials were being used upon. Now, last area which is very much important is the nanomaterials. Sometimes nanomaterials is written continuous, sometimes it is written in space also, and it is a, you can say, small diameter material whose, you can say, diameter is not over 100 nanometers. So in nanotechnology, when we're talking about, the material will always have a the diameter which is below 100 nanometer, and it has basically, or it is basically having a high ratio of surface area to volume. So when you are having the high surface area to volume, so what will happen that it will be giving a large amount of the strength to any of the material by removing the porosity, or by removing all the type of the, you can say, voids in between from this particular class of material, and it will always result in the physical properties which are, you can say, or the mechanical properties which are basically different from the bulk class of material. So when you are using a bulk class of material, the properties are different. When you are using a nano size material, the properties are extremely different. So this particular class of material which are being discussed over here, it is having a different, you can say, point of discussion, and these different point of discussion will certainly add up a, you can say, value towards the different, you can say, fields of discussion. Like we are talking about the optical engineering, communication, biomedical, drug delivery, agriculture and food, cosmetic and paints, biotechnology, textile, defense and security, energy storage. So there are different type of the areas wherein we are talking about the, you can say, the usage of nanotechnology is there, and these nanotechnology can be used upon in the different domains, like they are now being used in the area of additive manufacturing as well. So we are now over with the first part of the, you can say, today's lecture, where I have discussed about what are the basics of the materials technology, why we are talking about the materials technology, what is the outlook of materials technology, and what are the different processing routes which are on a conventional side. Okay, so we have talked about these many processes. Now the next part of my today's lecture will focus on what is basically the 3D printing or additive manufacturing is. Now, what happened that because there is a huge requirement or need in today's scenario, there is a requirement or need in today's scenario in which what happened that we want minimum amount of scrap out of any of the manufacturing process. So in today's world, what we require is that we require the minimum amount of scrap out of any of the manufacturing process which is being used upon in today's scenario. And what happens that in this we are having a solution. We have to always find a solution that how we can reduce the scrap formation. The solution is that we have to use a 3D printing technology or additive manufacturing. Now, somebody suddenly from the these participants can ask me, what is basically the 3D printing? What is basically additive manufacturing? Why it is called as additive manufacturing? Why not something else? Why is it called as the additive manufacturing? What is basically the concept of 3D printing? So over here, you can see that there is a conventional manufacturing which is taking place, in which what is happening, there is everything is moving fine. Everything is on a fine line length. But one thing which is occurring is not according to the, you can say, scenario. What is the current scenario? Minimize the scrap. So we have to minimize the scrap. But over here, you can see that there is a large amount of scrap which is being generated. Let us try to understand that what is happening and how is it happening. Over here, when this particular punch is coming and striking this particular piece of, you can say, metal, some material is getting collected over here. This material is basically, which is collected over here, this is called as scrap. Okay, this is called as the scrap. The material which is being removed over here, it is called as scrap. And what happened that this scrap, because sometimes what happened that the quantity of scrap is very less. Sometimes the quantity of scrap is very high. So most oftenly when the quantity is very less, they will go as a waste. So they will go into a waste. So this particular concept of, you can say, in the concept of the metal forming, the, you can say, scrap which is generated, it is often going over here, or it often goes into a waste. Now, what are the different types of the manufacturing? What are the different type of the manufacturing? Different type of the manufacturing are, first is the subtractive, second is the additive. Till date, what we were using the concept of subtractive manufacturing. I do not know how many people among yourself are aware of this concept of subtractive manufacturing. Subtractive manufacturing means we were taking a material over here. This is a material which we have chosen. This is a cuboid. Then we are doing an operation over here. Suppose we are doing a drilling operation over here. And then what is happening? There is a waste, or this is a scrap which is generated, and a three-dimensional object is being produced, which is the final product. So this three-dimensional object which is being produced, it is a final product. And this is the, you can say, waste material which is being generated over here. So this waste material which is being generated over here, this is, you can say, in nowadays, in current generation, we cannot accept it. We cannot, we cannot, you can say, we cannot waste such a large class of material nowadays, because the available resources are getting depleted. So what we have to do is that we have to move with the plan B. That is we have to talk about the concept of additive manufacturing. So in this concept of additive manufacturing, what we are doing, we are using a material. In this, what we are doing is that when we are using a material, this material is being, what happened that layer by layer or layered deposition is taking place as per the program or as per the set of the instructions which are being given to a printer. And then what will happen that a final product will be formed, which is called as a 3D object. And a very small amount of waste is generated, which is called as the scrap. So this scrap, we can again recycle it and we can use it, but it will be using a technique in which the technique which we are using over here, this technique which is being used should be economical as well. Okay, so this should be a economical system, economical manner in which we can fabricate. Now, modeling, printing, and finishing, these are the three concept lines, or these are the three, you can say, these are the three, yeah. Somebody is asking anything? I can hear some voice. Dr. Shekhar? Dr. Shekhar, can you please confirm that is there any question from participant side?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay,
No,
so
sir, no, sir. You can start.
okay, so what is there? There is a three, you can say, steps which are being used under for this particular additive manufacturing, and this additive manufacturing is becoming a, you can say, nowadays a very important you can say roadmap for the fabricating of the product. So in this, first of all, we have to always model, or we have to you can say develop a virtual blueprint. Okay, we have to fabricate, or we have to model a virtual blueprint, which is basically a, you can say, replica or a set of instructions which is in the digital manner. So that digital, you can say, set of instructions, they are being modeled in the form of a program, and that program is being sent to the step 2, which is called as the printing. So in this, what happened that when it is being sent to the second step, that is printing, it will perform a printing operation, and the machine will read the design in the .stl file, or it will lay down a successful layer of liquid or semi-liquid or powder or paper or sheet. So the .stl file, which is being used over here for the printing purpose, this should be error free. That means it is having a set of command or set of instructions with which it is giving the, you can say, the known, you can say, instructions. It is being given to the printer, and that printer prints all the things in a successful manner. Then we have got the third step, in which it is called as the finishing. In finishing, what is there? The product, or the, you can say, object which is being, you can say fabricated, that is being finished upon, in which a very small amount of material is being left behind, which can be recycled as well. So we have seen that how does a 3D printing takes place. 3D printing takes place by the, you can say, perpetual motion or perpetual movement of the, you can say, designated slide from left to right or right to left, and then the printer will form the item by depositing the material on a layer form, and starting from the bottom, it will go to the, you can say, upper end. So that means every time when we are using the 3D printing technology or additive manufacturing, it will always start from the bottom end, and it will always move to the upper end. So the movement from bottom end to the upper end, it will be used upon, in some of the cases, what happened that it is associated with the light or the lasers, and it is used for the hardening of the material. And then sometimes what is happening that there is a, you can say, layered deposition. So under the category of this 3D printing and design, we have got several techniques which are being used upon. Now, till date, there were, you can say, conventional 3D materials in polymers also, and in plastic, as well as in metals. Like in polymers or plastic, we were using, you can say, ABS, that is acrylonitrile butadiene styrene. Second is PLA, polylactic acid, okay? Or we sometimes call it as polylactide also. Then we are using the, you can say, TPE, which is a flexible plastic. And then sometimes we are using the nylon. Nylon is a very famous one. So all these type of the things, they are being, you can say, used upon, they are being talked upon, and they are being, you can say, discussed upon over here when we are talking about the conceptualization of ABS, PLA, or the flexible, you can say, plastic or the nylon. Okay. Now, next important class of the material which were used for the 3D printing was the metals, in which we are talking about the brass, bronze, platinum, silver, and gold, which are being additively manufactured so as to obtain a product. Like this is a, you can say, sphere, you can see. This is a, you can say, object which has been made for a showcase purpose or decorative purpose, which is being made of aluminum. This is a, you can say, another object which is being used for a showcase, which is a steel, and this is another a material which is being, you can say, for the decorative purpose, it is being made up of, you can say, bronze as well. So all these materials, they are being developed, or they are being used for developing the additively manufactured product. Okay. Now, from this particular slide, I start my journey. I have, I think, half an hour time is left with me. Till time, I have discussed around for 50 minutes. I have discussed that what are the, you can say, background area, what are the, you can say, concept area, what are the conceptualizations, what are the, you can say, history behind the materials. But now, in the class of the advanced materials, what are the different type of the materials which we are developing at our place over here in Amity University? What are the facilities which we have, you can say, developed over here for the development of the advanced materials? We are talking about, I will not be talking over here. And this work is being done not by me, because now I'm on a regular position. So over here, when I'm working as an assistant professor, I have been supported by a lot of, you can say, collaboration. So a lot of collaboration is there. My scholars are there, which are working, and this work is only possible by the, you can say, input which I am getting from my scholar side. So 4 areas of discipline, or 4 areas are there which are being essentially being worked upon right now. And because this is a, you can say, 1.5 hour lecture, so I have been, you can say, sticked to give you a glimpse. Somebody, if anybody is interested, yeah, he can definitely, you can say, talk to me later on. He can mail me, he can call me, or he can WhatsApp me, and I will be happy to take up the, you can say, any of the ideas from the participant side also. And because over here the time is a constraint, so I will discuss only 4 areas, but we are working more beyond these areas as well. Okay. Now, when we move forward for the first area, that is the development of the coating technology using the thermal spray technique, because nowadays enhancing the life of material becomes a very essential process. So enhancing the life of the material, and whenever any catastrophic, or whenever I am talking about the you can say, attack of the material, you can say, external agent, like if I talk about the water, air, or oil, or any of the external agent, whenever it attacks any of the material, it will definitely attack at the surface. Okay, so it will definitely attack at the surface, and when it will definitely attack at the surface, we have to be on a side that we have to develop a, you can say, coating material which can be just put in on that particular surface, and then we can have a better life capability, or we can enhance the performance of that particular base material. Now, what happened over here? These experiments which has been done over here, this is because coating, this type of coating we have developed. Let me clarify over here. What we have done is that we have used cerium oxide, CeO2, cerium oxide, as a rare earth material, and that cerium oxide which is being used over here as a, you can say, rare earth material, it is being used in chromium carbide and nickel chrome. So these are the 2, you can say, combination of alloy materials, that is chromium carbide, Cr3C2, and the second one is the NiCr, nickel chrome. So these are the 2 different class of the materials, alloys, in which we have added a cerium oxide which is acting as a rare earth, and then we have ball milled, and then finally on the boron steel specimen we have deposited by using a degun setup. So this is a degun setup over here. In this, what is there? The specimen is being held over here. And what happened, that this is a closed chamber in which what will happen, the deposition will take place from an external agency over here. The deposition should be in a such a manner that there should be a uniform layer on a particular surface of a boron steel. Afterwards, what we have done is that when we have coated the specimen using this particular technique of degun, what we have done is that we have done the, you can say, wear and friction characteristic studies. And the wear and the friction characteristic studies which we have performed, we have done it on a variable scale, and we have also checked the compatibility, whether it will be compatible for being used in the process of additive manufacturing as well. Because see, developing of one material is very easy. You can develop by hit and trial, by theoretical analysis, by any of the means you can develop that material, but finding its suitability for the next manufacturing process, it's very important. So when we develop a coating material, we have to be very much assured that when you are feeding that coating material to a 3D printer, whether that 3D printer is going to deposit, going to form a class of additively manufactured product or not. So this is very much important. If you are even coating it also, you have to be very much assured that whether that coating which has been developed, it is giving superior properties when bare, or when you can say only boron steel specimen is being used upon. So next we have got the, you can say, we have studied about the wear characteristics, in which we have done the wear characterization at variable load and variable, you can say, conditions. That means wet condition, dry condition, semi-wet conditions, all these conditions we have fabricated the, you can say, done the characteristic studies. And then we found out that what happened, that for the, you can say, 5% and 10% addition of cerium oxide, the 10% addition of cerium oxide in both, that is chromium carbide, nickel chrome, it gives a superior, you can say, coating characteristics. And that has been, you can say, verified with these particular SEM micrographs also. So if you talk about the, you can say, SEM micrograph, which has been shown over here, these SEM micrographs do not show any sort of the micro-plowing effect which are being there. If you talk about this particular SEM micrograph, you cannot see any of the micro-plowing effect at any of the curvature over here. Okay, so at any of the curvature, you cannot see any of the, you can say, micro-plowing effect, which gives a clear-cut signature that the coating material which are being used, it is having the superior characteristics. Now, on an overall basis, we have also done one study. In that particular study, what we have done is that we have talked about, or we have done a, you can say, a life assessment also, in which we found that when we are using boron steel in normal condition, and when we have coated it with using by this, you can say, Cr3C2 NiCr with 5% and 10% of cerium oxide, it was found out to be, you can say, the life was found out to be improved by around 15 years. So life assessment, that was something which I was discussing in the, you can say, first few slides, that is the performance of the material. So the performance was improved by 15 years, 1-5. So this is essentially very much important. Second area of discussion is the, you can say, development of alloy technology, aluminum alloy based technology, and then reinforcing that particular aluminum alloy based technology with the silicon carbide and other, you can say, materials. So only one material I have discussed over here. However, our group over here, our group has developed like this. We have developed, you can say, around 8 to 10 materials for the, you can say, defense applications, and those materials which has been developed by the defense for the defense application, they have shown a remarkable change in the properties. Like we have over here, what we have done, what we have tried to done is that our intention over here is to fabricate, you can say, the alloy first. That means we are fabricating an alloy of aluminum and silicon. Why? Because aluminum is lightweight, silicon gives a better deformation strength. So if we try to perform test on pure aluminum silicon, that means if you are performing test on aluminum silicon alloy, you can compress aluminum silicon alloy based ingot or compact for large deformation strength. That means you can develop a large deformation strength. You can make a large plate-like structure when you are using aluminum and silicon based alloy. Now, next is that we have, in this particular combination, we have used 2% of silicon, 98% was aluminum. And in subsequent step, what we have done is that we have started adding 5, 10, 15 and 20 weight percentage of the silicon carbide particles, and then we have studied the various characteristics. Now, in this, first of all, our interest over here for proposing any material for 3D printing or additive manufacturing is that whether this particular material, this type of structural properties does this material shows upon. So what we does is that immediately we go for the electron microscopy and find to see the, we want to see that what is the distribution of the silicon carbide particles which are being added over here. So what we find out is that the distribution of those silicon carbide particles, what is the size of the silicon carbide particle, because suppose in the starting we take the particle size as 49 to 58 micron. After processing, whether the particle size is reduced, second, whether there is some agglomeration or uniform distribution. So what we find out is that, suppose I take this micrograph over here, there is some bulk silicon carbide particles. Along with that, there are some sub-micron size particles also. Sub-micron size particles are also there. So these sub-micron size particles which are there, they are all either they are in the micron size or they are in the sub-micron size. They are distributed more uniformly. Okay, and what is the, whether there is some reaction is taking place or not, we have taken the energy dispersive spectroscopy of this material also. So energy dispersive spectroscopy, which we have discussed over here, it shows a clear-cut signature that all the particles or all the raw materials which were being used in the starting, they were present in their as used or as initiated form. Now, another thing is that since some of the material, because most of the material we propose for the this DRDO, some was there for the Naval Research Board also. In Naval Research Board, what is there? They are very much worried about the corrosion on this hull. So in what was there, they always try to find out, or they always give problems of nature, like they say that you propose a material, they come up with the idea that you propose a material which is highly corrosion resistant. So that is why studying of this particular class of material in NaCl medium, because whenever ship is moving in a sea has got a salty water. And if we take you can say salty the sea water from a particular seashore and try to examine it, you can examine it, it is just parallel to adding of 3.58% NaCl in water. So that is why the corrosion test of all these materials, that means pure aluminum, aluminum silicon alloy, and aluminum silicon and silicon carbide particles, they were performed in, you can say, 3.58% addition of NaCl medium. And we find out that there was a, you can say, tremendous change which we can observe for the corrosion protection efficiency. So because corrosion rate and corrosion protection efficiency, these are the two parameters which are essentially important. And in the corrosion protection efficiency, what I found that the highest addition of the silicon carbide particles, that is in the 28%, ALSI-SiC06 gave us the highly improved protection efficiency. Okay, and one more thing which I would like to add up over here: mechanical properties, tribological properties, corrosion properties, these are all different. They are not at all related with respect to each other. You cannot establish a correlation between different properties in a case when you are fabricating alloy-based composites. For the alloy-based composites, you cannot fabricate. And what happened that when we plotted this TEFL polarization plot, the TEFL polarization plot showed a, you can say, uniform distribution of this particular plot over a, you can say, current and voltage variation. Now, another important class of the material, or another important thing, is that when we are using aluminum-based composites or aluminum when we are using for the drive shafts, what happened that when you are proposing any material for the drive shaft, what happens, suppose you are moving in a vehicle and suddenly you get to have a, you can say, sudden braking. So what happened that sometimes there is a drive shaft got broken up, or even sometimes what happened that there is a catastrophic failure in the, you can say, drive shaft. So next up, our study was that how to improve the deformation strength or deformation behavior of aluminum. So because aluminum is a lightweight material and aluminum is finding a lot of, you can say, application in current scenario. So how aluminum is a, you can say, extremely important material, how we can develop new class of alloy, and how new class of alloy can be made in a lightweight, lighter than aluminum. This was a very big challenge, and how they show a improved property. So what was there? Our idea over here was that we fabricated aluminum magnesium alloy. Then what we did is that we added small percentage of carbon. Okay, a small percentage of carbon addition, what it basically deals upon is that it will basically, when we are adding a small concentration of the carbon in aluminum magnesium, what it will do is that it will be yielding a, or it will be giving a high strength, and as well as it will be giving you a, you can say, lower weight percentage of, or the lower miniaturization will be there. The material will be to move towards the more lighter phase. Okay, so the material will move towards the more lighter phase. That means when we're talking about the aluminum, magnesium, and carbon, it will be moving towards a more lighter phase. Lighter phase means the weight or the density will be reduced when compared to the aluminum, and this has happened. We have over here in our laboratory over here, we have fabricated this type of material, and what we have done is that we have studied the deformation strength for variable, you can say, interfacial conditions. That means what we have done is that when we have taken one class of material, suppose I have taken aluminum, magnesium, carbon, I have tested it dry, I have tested it semi liquid, like suppose I am using the Vaseline jelly, or we are using it like you can say, graphite powder. With graphite powder we are doing the you can say deformation test, or we are using oil at the surface and then we are doing the deformation test. So at variable conditions we have tried to find out the answer to different type of the problems which are being faced upon in the you can say automobile and automobile industries. So automobile, because there is a very important sector in India. Everybody in nowadays is working, or and everybody, whenever they move on from one place to another, or whenever they commute, they basically use you can say vehicle. So when they use the, you can say, vehicle, the automobile sectors are becoming very important nowadays. So another important class of the material which is essentially over important is the, you can say, copper composites. So in copper composites, we have, what we have done is that we have fabricated the copper composites added with silicon carbide and graphite for the process of 3D printing. And this particular process of 3D printing, this is very important because what is there was a, although the concentration over here which we have used is highest is 5.5 and 5. So in this 5% if I take about this particular micrograph, in this you can see the uniform distribution which is taking place, and all these specimen, if I talk about this deformation behavior specimen, if I talk about this aluminum silicon alloy based specimen, if we talk about this particular copper space specimen, all these specimens which we have fabricated all these specimens by using the liquid metallurgy to root by the method of stir casting furnace. So liquid metallurgy technique has been used. So we are not moving towards using the high end technology. We are not buying crores of machines. No, what we are doing is that we are playing, or we are putting our emphasis by using the optimization tool. We are using this technology of we are using the conventional methods for fabricating with variation in the material characteristics. We are using different materials. We are playing with the materials. We are varying the concentration of the materials, and we are processing it by using a conventional technique, because now India cannot use now we cannot move towards using crores of machines and high-end technology, because that high-end technology is not at all feasible to be used by the industry. You cannot replace all the industries by a new class of you can say instruments. You cannot. Okay, so let us come back over here in this particular class of the material. If we talk about over here in this, what we have done is that we have fabricated the composite, and first of all we have tried to understand the structural behavior. Structural behavior was studied using the, you can say, X-ray diffractometer, X-ray diffraction, as well as we have studied using the you can say SEM simple optical microscopy, and then we have studied the, you can say, corrosion characteristics. So in this, the specimen which showed the higher corrosion characteristics was the, you can say, first one, that is the pure one, and the lowest one was for the specimen which was having the 2.5 weight percentage of the silicon carbide and the graphite. So I have said previously also, it is not necessary that every time you get, or every time you can say the highest concentration of the reinforcement will give you the higher properties. No, it is not at all possible. Sometimes you have to optimize those things, and optimization is very much important for all of us to understand. Now, last class of materials which we have fabricated for the additively manufactured products or for the 3D printing is the iron silicon carbide MMCs, which showed the, you can say, because this was fabricated through the solid state sintering technique. So in the solid state sintering techniques, what we have done is that we have tried to understand that what is the nano phase distribution, or how up to which level of nano size we are able to get when we are dispersing the silicon carbide in the pure iron matrix. Okay, so in the pure iron matrix, when we are distributing the silicon carbide particles, what is the, you can say, structural, mechanical, and the corrosion behavior properties, and how these properties become a very essential, you can say, parameter. So we have you can say studied various properties over here, and those various properties which we have studied over here, it showed like the, you can say, corrosion protection efficiency we have calculated. We have studied the tribological behavior. We have done the comparison also with pure iron with previously fabricated specimen, because what we have done is that I have shown over here the results for the iron silicon carbide, but we have also done a lot of study for the iron aluminum oxide. We have done study for the iron zirconium dioxide. We have done the study for the iron which is being added with two type of reinforcements simultaneously, like Al2O3 and ZrO2, and then we have come up with a different type of results for different type of the situations. With this, I think I have been left with 10 more minutes. See, I have been doing a lot many work over here. So I say that it is not possible by me. It is not possible by me to work all these things. I am always thankful to all my collaborators throughout the globe, starting from IIT, BHU, and ending at DMSRD Kanpur. So because we are working in various, you can say, areas wherein the large scale collaboration is very much expected, And that large scale collaboration is very much important, because what happened that there are many facilities which are required. So at one house or at one place, I cannot have all these facilities. So suppose I am having fabrication facilities, I have to collaborate with some other researcher or scientist or professor from some other institute, and we have to move forward for the, you can say, some other sophisticated property evaluation technique or characterization technique. So this is my research group. Already 43 students have passed out under my supervision. They have completed their BTech projects under me. 6 MTech students have done their MTech dissertation with me, starting from year 2016 and ending in 2020. 6 students are there for the PhD, out of which 2 have been awarded. Dr. Jimmy and Dr. Naseem, they have been awarded the PhD degree this very year, and 4 PhD are right now going on under my supervision. So 4 PhD are right now going on under my supervision, and they are being working in different areas. And some or the other place, whatever results I was discussing, my students, they continuously keep on doing the experiment along with me. I also instruct them. Sometimes I also have to be working with them. And then we have to come out with the results, those results which are promising for publication, as well as those results which are very much essential for being used upon by the society in one form or the other form. So this is the facility which we are having, R&D facility which we are having. We are having the weighing balance, muffle furnace, casting furnace. We have got the, you can say, ball milling machine. We have got the atmospheric control furnace. So right now we have got 2 muffle furnace. We have got polishing machine also, double disc polishing machine. Because for the structural investigation, we need to have a mirror finish specimen. And like for the nano size generation, we are having the high energy ball milling machine. And for the sintering purposes, we are having the tubular furnace, then casting furnace for the liquid metallurgy processing. And these are some of the, you can say, fabricated specimens which are there. These specimens have been fabricated, and these specimens are very much important because they are being used as a initial, you can say, they are treated as an initial results which are we are getting as an exploration. Later on, we move towards the 3D printing, additive manufacturing by using this particular class of material for being deposited or by the layered deposition. These are some of the recognition and honors. Thank you so much to all my recognitions and honors, which are only possible due to my students and collaborators. Without my students and collaborators, I do not stand anywhere. And this is the contribution in my area, as Dr. Shekhar has already initially stated in the starting. These are the contributions. And yes, rightly, 2 sponsored projects have been completed by me. Many are, you can say, under process. And several, you can say, books have been already being, you can say, published. Book chapters have been published. More recently, we have filed 2 patents also, wherein what we have done in this I think I will take 1 minute time. The recent patent which we have filed over here is towards the composite-based technology being used as an essential material for sensor. So what we are using that nowadays composite, they are being used for sensor technology also, wherein we are playing with the different type of the materials, and then we are yielding an output over here. So this is quite important to be understood over here. So thank you for your kind attention. I think I finished well within time. We have a few more minutes time over here, and we can have question answer from the participant side as well.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. So dear participants, if you have any queries, please ask him. Our expert is waiting for the line. Anyone?
Sir, this is Sukumaran. Sir, can you share how to get to sponsors and collaborators, your views?
Actually, Professor, what is there? You are asking that how I establish the collaboration.
Yes, sir, please.
See what happened that first you have to identify that what is the, you can say, the various researchers which are working in your area. So what are the various researchers which are working in your area, and then what is there you first, because see, nobody is going to collaborate with you because until and unless you are not having something in your hand. So first of all, you have to establish something. You have to bring out something from your end, and then you have to propose that, okay, I am doing this thing, I am having this particular ideology, I am having this idea, and then you can propose that particular concept, and then the people will start collaborating with you. Okay, so collaboration is possible when you start up with something, and then when you are having that innovative idea, with that particular innovative idea, people will certainly join you. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Professor, I think I am quite able to answer you. And one more thing is that
Yes.
which I have slightly missed. Yeah, slightly which I have missed over here. Like we are also now working towards the area of optimization. Like the ANOVA and TOPSIS are some of the approaches which we are using for the optimizing of the result, because nowadays working with only experimental data is not a big thing. Anybody can perform the experiment, but validation of those experimental data with the help of some theoretical analysis is quite important. So my group over here, or our group over here, we are having experts over here. So by the help of those experts, we are doing the optimization also for the different results which we are doing. And one more thing is that you, whenever we are talking about the collaboration, that these are the collaborations which I have shown over here. These are outside the university. I have one small group over here as at MIT, also in Department of Mechanical Engineering. I am which are being constituted by, or which are being held upon with by me. I have two of my colleagues, Dr. Sumit Gupta and Dr. Vijay Chaudhary. They are, you can say, also helping me. And what happened that internal collaboration and external collaboration, both these type of collaborations are essentially important. Yeah. Any other question from anybody's side?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Is there, if there is any other question, please let me know.
No, sir.
Yeah.
No, sir. Sir, on behalf of Murahwa Polytechnic and our department, we thank to you giving a wonderful presentation about the advanced material for 3D printing. Thank you very much for this opportunity, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to the entire organizing team. Thank you to Dr. Sekhar, and thank you once again to all participants.